with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's a local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go on this Monday, January 31st, 2022. Real Talk Memphis is on the air. Very nice to have you with us on this Monday, the last Monday in January. I swear, it seemed like yesterday when we were starting this year, and we're already 1 month down and 11 to go. So enough of that. Glad to have you with us. As I said, I'm your humble host, Chip Washington. Gang's all here. We are fired up and ready to go on this Monday. I hope that you had a good Monday, had a nice weekend, and all that kind of good stuff. Keeping safe and and keeping comfortable and dry. Now it's 6 o'clock on Monday evening. You can safely assume the position in front of your mobile device or your radio or however it is you are getting to us. And speaking of that, you're always wondering how you can get this fine piece of radio broadcasting. Well, I'm here to tell you all about it. You can do it in several ways, actually. We are on the air right now, live and local, 91.7 WYXR on your FM radio side. We are also on the station website, which is wyxr.org. You can also catch us on the TuneIn app. Put in WYXR in the search, and you can hear us. And we do this little thing called Facebook Live, and a little later on this evening, we will also be on YouTube. So as Lola always says, like, follow, share, and subscribe. I got a thumbs up. See, I got it right, didn't I? See, that's good. See, all those things to help to support, build, and grow this radio show. I appreciate you very, very much. Now, before we get into the show, and we got a lot to deal with tonight and a lot to talk about, ahead of our guest, we always like to celebrate you, and it takes a little effort to go from 1 year to another year, and so on and so on. So if you made that trip around the sun one more again, this shout out is for you, but it can't happen until I say, hit it, Lola.
Happy birthday!
It's your birthday, it's your birthday, it's your birthday. Happy birthdays go out to Delicia DeGraffery. Happy birthday to you. Louis Brownlee, it is your birthday, sir. He is the one of the PIOs, the Public Information Officer for the Memphis Police Department. Happy birthday. Carmen Hicks, celebrating her birthday on this day, as is Katrina Ross. Yangasa Wayrier, I think that's how you pronounce it. I think I muffed that up, actually. Teresa Ship, it is your birthday today. Shulandra Kelly, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Michelle Mimi Miller. Tina Huglet, celebrating today. Ellis Anthony, celebrating a birthday. And Gary Shelton is also celebrating a birthday. So, to each and every one of you, from all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, happy birthday. Hope you had a wonderful day, and we hope to be with you again next year, celebrating like we're doing today. Thank you, Lola. Appreciate it. Also, a couple of special announcements before we get into it. Every year, the Memphis Flyer does a wonderful tribute to the top 20 under the age of 30. And they recently put that out in the paper. If you haven't gotten it, check out the Memphis Flyer, the current edition, and so you can check out some of these folks. Congratulations and to each and every one of you who made the list for the 2022 year. Special shout out goes to a family friend. Her name is Valencia Jennings, and her mama is listening to the show right now. So very, very happy for you, Sita. And of course, I know you're very proud of your daughter, as we all are. She works in human resources at Baptist Hospitals, the Baptist Hospital Medical Group, and she's also the COO of Home T3AM Hoops. So congratulations for making that list. These are our future leaders, and we need to celebrate their accomplishments and everything they do on the positive side so we can continue to encourage them, and maybe they can encourage others that are coming up behind them. So congratulations and shout outs to each and every one. And speaking of shout outs, I got a call. Now, well, not necessarily a call, but I got a little notice this afternoon from a friend of mine who said, I just want a shout out. So I hit her back and I said, okay, well, this is your birthday. Is it anniversary, special occasion? She said, no, I just need a shout out. So I'm going to give her a shout out. Talia Palacio. Talia, I know she's probably listening. She works at Rust College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, doing fine work down there. And she also has a show on this fine radio network on Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock. I'm not going to try to butcher it, but you should tune her in every Saturday night, 8 p.m., right here on this fine radio station. You know, every now and again, we all just need to hear our names. We all just need a shout out. So shout out to you, Talia. I hope you had a great day. Wanted to before we get into to the news and notes, I wanted to reference notable death. We were talking about it, my gang, before the show. Chesley Christ. She was the former 2019 Miss USA. She's apparently dead of an apparent suicide in Manhattan over the weekend in New York. Apparently she jumped off the roof of the building that she stayed in. She was only 30 years old. And this is a reminder to all of us out here. We were talking about it. Have been touched one way or another by someone who has taken their own life far too soon. We read about it, we see it, we hear about it every day. It is a really, really, really tough subject to deal with, but it should also let you know this. You never know what a person is going through. You never, ever know. You can't assume because someone is happy on the outside and they're, you know, you see them and they're full of joy and they greet you and everything looks well on the outside. It may be very unwell on the inside. So you never know how a person is feeling. So it is very, very important for all of us to try to treat each other with the utmost love, care, and respect. So God bless her. Condolences to her family and her fans. She was also a correspondent on the show Extra, so may her memory be a blessing to us all. In other news and notes, the Omicron variant is starting to subside. And I know for a lot of folks out there, you know, they're like, yeah, well, you know, we figured it would, and, you know, all that kind of blah, 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 blah. So if you're not vaccinated, I'm going to always tell you to vaccinate. I'm always going to tell you that the opportunity is there for you to vaccinate yourself to protect not only yourself, but others around you. Someone very close to me contracted COVID last week and got pretty sick. And yes, it was a breakthrough case. He did have his shots and his booster and still got it and got pretty sick too, by the way. So this thing is still around, even though the numbers are starting to decrease. So I wouldn't be responsible if I did not tell you that whether you choose to hear it or not, vaccination is a good way to try to keep from getting really sick, hospital sick, and maybe something even more tragic than that. Now, you can actually apply to the government. We talked about that. They're sending free test kits per household to anyone who sends them an email. As a matter of fact, I got mine over the weekend. So it's always better to have and not want than want and not have, as the old saying goes. You can also get tested and vaccinated at the Whitehaven location of the Tennessee Southwest Community College. They are giving vaccinations on Fridays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you live in that area, you might want to roll by there if you haven't been vaccinated and get your shot. API is also offering vaccinations from 9 to 1 p.m. every day. It's located off of Kirby Wooden Road, close to the interstate back over that way. So just give them a call to get the address and the information. Okay, so here's something that is, to say the least, very puzzling to me that I read over the weekend. But before I do that story, I also wanted to share some news that was a bit difficult to hear over the weekend. 2 children, ages 6 and 7, were found drowning in a hotel, East Memphis hotel swimming pool Saturday night. One of the children, the 7-year-old, died. The other one is in the hospital recovering. No one knows what, how, or anything. The investigation continues in terms of that. And also, a 13-year-old female was shot and killed at a residence in Byhalia, Mississippi, in Marshall County Saturday night. No suspects. The investigation there continues as well. So it's always tough out here. It really is. Each and every day, it's something that we can't avoid. But all we can do is continue to try to fight the best we can and say our prayers and lean on God when things that are like this happen that we just have no answers for. Now, to the story that really sort of, so just when I think, I have seen it all and have heard it all, something like this happens. So we all know that the Tennessee legislature passed a law last year that allows 21-year-olds and up to carry a concealed weapon without any sort of background check or test or anything else, right? Right. And we all knew that when that passed, we were going to see an increase in gun violence and things like that. Well, how do we solve this problem? Well, maybe this Tennessee legislator has the answer to the question, and I'm being as facetious as I possibly can before I even read it. He has said that he is going to propose a bill to the Tennessee House that says teenagers could soon be allowed to carry concealed weapons from the age of 18 up. So he wants to actually allow you to be able to carry a concealed weapon with no background check, permit, or anything from the age of 18 and up instead of 21 and up. Now, obviously, local legislative leaders and city leaders are very upset about even the thought of something like this happening. But he says that if 18, 19, and 20-year-olds are responsible enough to be able to carry a gun when they go to war in other countries, then they should be responsible enough to be able to be responsible gun carriers here. His name, by the way, the Republican Tennessee representative, is Chris Todd, and the bill is House Bill 1735. Now I'm just going to pause for a minute just to let that sink in. So we've already got a law that says anybody 21 and up can carry a concealed weapon with no checks, no balances, no anything. This guy wants to propose that we lower that to age 18, because if they can carry guns, when they join the service units out there, military units out there, then they should be responsible enough to be able to carry a gun wherever they go, conceal a weapon in their vehicle, 18 years and up. All right. So with that, and as I have to pause and take a breath myself, we're going to get into the show. And hopefully we have a pretty good show for you tonight. Actually, my first guest who is waiting on me is Colonel Vincent Beasley. He is the Tillman Station Precinct Commander for the Memphis Police Department. And we're going to talk about the challenges that he and other officers face on a daily basis. here in our city. What we can do about all of this, what he thinks about it each and every day when he sends his officers out on the streets. A little bit later on, we hope to speak to Dr. Alpha Stewart from the UT Health Sciences Center about a number of subjects, including one we talked about a few minutes ago, which is suicide and a lot of other mental issues and challenges our young people face. A bit later on in the broadcast, the second half hour, I'm going to have a couple of friends of mine on who have been on the show before. Reverend Rodney Kirkwood Sr. and Mandrill McLaughlin Jr. will be here. They are launching a brand new podcast, which is going to help all of us, hopefully, be a better man. And it is called the Total Man Podcast. We're going to find out about it, what was the idea behind it, and when you can catch it. But in the meantime, I'm Chip. This is Real Talk Memphis. We are going to take our first break, and we'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
The Brooks is open in Overton Park. Home to Memphis art collection since 1916, the Memphis Brooks Museum of Art holds the largest collection of world art in the region, with more than 10,000 works spanning 5,000 years of art and cultures. Remember, every Wednesday is free and open until 8 p.m. They are a proud sponsor of WYXR. For more information about the museum and their exhibitions, visit brooksmuseum.org. You belong at the Brooks. Memphis Listening Lab proudly supports WYXR. They provide a curated collection of music and music history, a forum for music-related talks and performances, and a music education, appreciation, and experimentation space located in Crosstown Concourse. The lab is open Tuesday through Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can find out more information on their Instagram page at Memphis Listening Lab or on their website at memphislisteninglab.org. Renowned dance artist Lil Buck stars in Memphis Jukin', the show, an ode to its hometown in Memphis, Tennessee, and the street dance culture of the Bluff City, which has drawn intrigue and emulation throughout the world of music, film, and stage performance. Memphis Jukin', the show will premiere at the Orpheum Theater in Memphis on February 11th and 12th of 2022. Tickets and more info are available at orpheum-memphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this final day of January 2022. I cannot believe how quickly time has flown by. I want to check out my Facebook Live feed here, and I see my brother Mike is checking in from California. What's good, boy? How you doing out there on the West Coast? See, Audrey Hill is here with us tonight. Drill, who's going to be on the show in about 30 minutes or so, he's already checking in a little early. And I'm trying to see if my cousin Carlissa is on here as well. She's checking us out. And Janice Chestnut, I see you as well. So thank you all for checking in tonight. And Shirley, I see you there as well. So gang's all here and gang's all out there too. Very happy to have you with us. I'm very happy to have my first guest with us tonight. We were talking about it. It's no secret that it's pretty tough out here in the streets of Memphis these days in terms of folks' lack of respect, lack of respect for authority, lack of respect for each other. We see about it. We hear about it every day. But my first guest is a man who faces it head on each and every day. He has been with the Memphis Police Department for many years, and currently he commands the Tillman Station Precinct. And I'm very happy to have Colonel Vincent Beasley joining me here on Real Talk. And Colonel Beasley, thank you again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
So, we all hear about it every day. You see it every day. Your men see it every day. It is pretty tough out here, the crime situation that is going on here in Memphis. And, of course, you command, an entire precinct. So you have a lot of responsibilities, clearly. But I know one of your responsibilities foremost is not only for your folks to try to keep the citizens safe, but always being concerned about your folks as well, because it seems these days like the criminals don't have any respect or regard for human life, or no matter who it is, and law enforcement is being attacked on that front as well. Am I speaking out of turn here, or said anything incorrect?
No, I'll agree with everything you've said thus far.
So I guess the question is for you. You always have to be thinking and planning and trying to figure things out, and I just guess I'll just ask, my first question is, because everybody seems to ask the same question when things happen, what's going on? What do we do about it? How do we fix it? So I'll ask someone who I would consider to be an expert in this particular field. But I mean, in terms of what you see on a daily basis, how do we fix it?
So I wish I had the answer for that.
Yeah.
I think if I had the answer for it, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I'd be filthy rich because I could bottle it up and sell it.
Yeah.
So I really don't know. I know there's some things where we're falling short. So one of the things I think is that we've got to do a lot more mentoring, I think, with our youth. I think, there are programs in place where we're talking about catching our youth at a young age, and we're talking about 12 years old.
Yeah.
I feel like 12 years old is just too old. We waited too late to wait until 12 so we start trying to teach them about positive things. Mm-hmm. So we got to start talking to our kids at early ages. So you would have to admit that the children of today are much wiser than we were.
Yes.
They are exposed to more things than we were at the ages when we were their ages. So therefore we have to start at a younger age and start talking to them and mentoring them and showing them good things and showing them what right looks like, showing them that the things they're seeing, the games they're playing, those things are real. So, I talked to a kid a couple of days ago who was telling me about a gun he found, and he didn't realize that, once you shoot someone with that gun, and he was 10 years old, you shoot a person with that gun, they're not going to get up like in Call, like Combat or whatever other games they play. See, that in their mind, I'm going to shoot him and he or she is going to get up, or I don't see the aftermath of it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the things. But, and those are things that are hard to control. But I tell you, I think a place where we're really failing, though, is that once those events occur in these kids' lives, they see so much bad stuff. I think we got to put some aftercare in place for them. We got to put some trauma-focused training in place for them. I think they don't get that. So the kids see shooting every day.
Yeah.
And they're not getting nobody's talking to them about it, how they're dealing with it or whatever. So they end up growing up dealing with it on their own, and then they start following that lifestyle. So, those are a couple of things I think that right off the bat we could do, and it wouldn't take a lot. Dollars are always a problem, but I can tell you now that if we don't start investing in them at early ages, we're going to spend a lot of more dollars later.
Amen to that. We're speaking with Colonel Vincent Beasley of the Memphis Police Department, and he's also the commander of the Tillman Station Precinct. And a lot of what you said makes a lot of sense. And I'll say this, but I want to ask another question in reference to this. Are we, as a community, the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And a lot of these conversations and a lot of the role models and a lot of the things, the influences that they see do need to be corrected. But, I mean, are we as a community doing enough to help our young people? Because they're the ones that seem to be not only the victims, but the perpetrators of so many violent crimes we see.
So I can't say that we are or we're not. I don't know. I can't tell you how to answer that question, but I mean, I know there's more that we can do. How about that? I know there's more that we can do. And we, a lot of times we get comfortable in what we're doing. We're so in tune to our environment and what we're doing. And a lot of times we miss what's happening with other people. So for instance, a lot of these youth that are involved in these things, so it goes back farther than them just being involved. We got to figure out what happened to them as they were growing up. What traumatized them? And in most cases, you'll find that they were traumatized somewhere as they were growing up. And we missed that. And I don't want to offend anybody, but especially in the African American community, we tend to stay away. We don't want to take our kids to psychologists. We don't want to take them to psychiatrists, because they get labeled as being crazy and all other stuff. But in essence, they need to have professional people to talk to them and help them deal with the traumas that they've gone through. Because if they don't deal with the traumas, then those traumas are going to continue to mount. And the only way they know to deal with them after that is to become victims or victimize other people.
Well, that's pretty heavy thing you just said. And I mean, so there are clearly, levels to all of this, is what I'm getting from you in terms of what these children are at a very young age are being exposed to. And of course, the family dynamic has a lot to do with this as well. The role models of a child are hopefully their parents. And, if the household is dysfunctional, then I would imagine in some way, shape, or form, this is going to affect the psyche of a child growing up in that house. Would you say so?
For sure. For sure. So if you think about this, several years ago, the world was upset with Charles Barkley because of a statement he made. Charles Barkley said, "I shouldn't be your child's role model."
That's right.
So he being a famous athlete with tons of money, he's telling us, I shouldn't be your child's role model. That means I should be my child's role model. So what am I doing to ensure that my children are getting what they need? Yeah. They need to see me doing the right thing. They need to see me getting up every day. They need to see me getting on my knees at night praying. They need to see that. They need to see me. They need to see me reading. They need to see me. How do I get along with other people? They need to see me interacting with my spouse. They need to see me doing those things, the positive things. And they need to know that, life can be fun and you don't have to do all the things that they're doing to get a thrill. There are other things you can do to get a thrill. So we've got to be our own role models. We got to stop allowing the athletes to be our role models, the rappers to be our role models for our children, because quite frankly, some of the things they're doing are just not good examples.
Wow, that's pretty heavy. And before I have one final question, but I want to ask the folks who are watching us on Facebook. I'm seeing some couple of comments that they're saying that you can't hear the responses of Colonel Beasley. If you can, somebody needs to say yes. Let me know if you can hear what he's saying and his responses, because he's giving some very, very, very real on-time responses to the question. So let me know. I saw a couple of things where somebody said unable to hear the response. So if you can hear it, please on Facebook Live, let us know. But Colonel Beasley, what you said has a lot of merit, and it really does. Now, I know that MPD had a recruiting drive because you're shorthanded, and it's hard to do your job on a daily basis, hard enough to do it on a daily basis now being shorthanded. And I saw that you had, there was about 200 folks who showed up, and somebody is saying that we can't hear them, guys. So technically, we might have an issue here that we need to try to fix on the board. You can hear? Okay, I don't know what's going on. But back to the recruiting effort. that has got to make you feel a little bit better. Hopefully we can get more folks in the system. Maybe people are starting to pay attention, not just for bonuses and things like that, but who really want to help. So as a commander of a unit, what are you looking for in a young officer wanting to be a part of the MPD?
So I'm looking for someone who we all are servants, and you have to have that servant attitude in order to do this job.
Right.
So if you're coming on the job to become rich, it'll never happen.
Right.
It'll never happen.
Right.
If you're coming over the job for a ton of glory, it'll never happen. So we need people that want to serve, that want to serve their community, that want to make their community better. My daughter reminded me just a couple of nights ago. I am very fortunate. I grew up exactly where I'm sitting right now. The apartment complex I lived in was exactly where this precinct is now, and I grew up here, so I was fortunate. I made some mistakes in my life. I had some people to mentor me. I had people to try to get me back on track, and all of those things. So I would want somebody. Yes, I mean, nobody's perfect. Of course, you want people who made mistakes, and now you want people to want to change their lives around, but not only change their lives, want to change the people around you. You want to change their lives and make their lives better. And that's what we're looking for in people that want to join this department. Good, wholesome people who want to make a change, who want to see their city not get the bad reputation that it has gotten, because the city of Memphis is a great place to live. When you think about it, It's just that we've got some things that we need to work on, and we need more people who want to see us be successful, who want to erase that stigma that's associated with Memphis, Tennessee.
Well said, sir. Well said. Colonel Vincent Beasley of the Memphis Police Department, thank you, sir, for taking a few minutes of your schedule to come on and talk with us tonight on Real Talk. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, sir, and have a good evening.
You too. Thank you very, very much. Colonel Vincent Beasley, ladies and gentlemen, from the Memphis Police Department, had a lot of good things to say, but we all play a role in what happens in our city, and I think that's something that none of us need to forget. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to delve a little deeper into the psychology of some of these young folks, some of the pressures that they're facing, and from someone who is an expert in the field. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm your host, Chip. We will be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest? Or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page, and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR comes from the Germantown Performing Arts Center, presenting Dee Dee Bridgewater and Memphis Symphony live in the Duncan Williams Performance Hall, Saturday, February 12th at 8 p.m. Tickets and more information at gpacweb.com.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Been snooping around.
Discover your next favorite artist at the Memphis Songwriter Series at the Halloran Center, hosted by Memphis songwriter Mark Edgar Stewart. On February 17th, Mark and his musical guests will take you on a journey behind their music, share personal stories, and introduce exciting new music. For more information on the Memphis Songwriter Series, visit orpheum-memphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip here with you. Glad you are along for the ride. To understand, we had a few audio difficulties maybe in that last segment, but this is radio, and my folks are saying everything is good. Hopefully, we will continue that pattern as we move forward. My next guest is someone who I would say is an authority on really identifying what our young black youth are dealing with in a lot of ways. And one of the topics I want to talk about a little bit while we have her for a few minutes is suicide, teen suicide, youth suicide among our black youth. She is Dr. Alpha Stewart. She is the director for the Center for Youth Advocacy and Wellbeing and the Center for Health Injustice Involved Youth, among many, many other programs, and very happy to have her with us from the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. Dr. Stewart, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here with you tonight to talk about this very important issue.
So we have a few minutes, so we're going to kind of jump right into it. And I read, some of your work and some of your papers in reference to this. We talked at the beginning of the broadcast about the former Miss USA, who committed suicide over the weekend at the very young age of 30 years old. We never know what someone is dealing with, but you, on a daily basis, study things like this, and tell us a little bit about kind of what you see and what you deal with in terms of kind of reaching the next level.
Well, that's a great starting point. So thank you for teeing it up like that. One of the first things we have to understand is that for us in the Black community, just talking about suicide has always been like a taboo. I grew up hearing Black people don't commit suicide. It wasn't until I became a psychiatrist and started seeing instances where people actually were doing harm to themselves in an attempt to commit suicide that I understood how wrong that whole mindset was.
Right.
And today we still carry some of that. And we've had a flurry of these high profile cases that at least have got us talking about it. Which on the one hand is a good thing, but unfortunately it came at the price of people having to lose their lives because we didn't pay attention. We didn't understand, as you said, what they were going through. And we haven't really begun to grasp the kinds of things that lead a person to feel that hopeless, that helpless, that despondent, that without the willingness to find another way to stay alive. We have young kids as young as 7 and 8 committing suicide. That is unheard of. We should not be even thinking about those kinds of events happening, but they are. A lot of it has to do with something that Colonel Beasley mentioned in your previous segment. We don't pay attention to the signs because we don't recognize them when they occur. Mm-hmm. Kids who are depressed, kids who are being traumatized, kids who are being abused, right. Kids who have nothing to look forward to that is positive in their lives are at risk for considering and perhaps completing suicide. And those are things that we've just got to get better at. We need to train people, parents, caregivers, community members, ministers, teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria workers to recognize these signs and to talk to these kids and hopefully get them to someone who can help them. He talked about it's always about the money. That's true. But right now, he said it so well, if we don't make this investment now, more of our kids will die from suicide. The data is very clear. The reporting out on young Black kids and the rate of suicide increase is astounding. We have to stop this now.
We are speaking with Dr. Alpha Stewart from the University of Tennessee Health Sciences Center. And we're really delving into a deep and serious subject because we're losing our kids, on many levels. Not only from what she was just so eloquently talking about, but violence in the streets and violence in home and the pressures that they feel every day. And we were talking, I was talking to my producers before the show, Dr. Stewart, about this particular subject. And one of them said that, her daughter, who's 16, had a friend the same age who committed suicide. And it's just we don't know what's going on, and I'll be honest with you. It's just so difficult for me to understand why someone so young who really hasn't formulated or begun to live life, could be in such a desperate place. And can you help me with that particular mindset?
Hopeless and helpless and despondent are the primary things going on in the minds of these young people. They have been confronted with just absolutely phenomenal kinds of issues that they have to deal with. The pressure of social media, the pressure of being better, of doing better, the pressure of being accepted by your peers. In some cases, the pressure of just living in a household that is chaotic and traumatizing and having no outlet. And while giving kids mentors and offering them support programs after school and having resources in the school is a good first step, for many of these kids, if they can't get out of the house or out of the community where they're constantly bombarded, at some point they give up hope. And they either accept the fact that they've got to join the violence and the chaos and the trauma, or they decide they can't go on and they'd rather not be around. When you talk to young people who are feeling this way, it is really very painful to hear how despondent a child of 15 or 16 can actually be.
Yes, yeah. What you're saying is something I think that every parent needs to hear. And anyone who has a child in your family, whether you're a brother, whether you're an uncle, aunt, whoever, these are, and always to me it always sends me back to one thing: we need to communicate with our children. I mean, right now there's a lot of distraction. Colonel Beasley talked about that too. There's a lot of other distractions that have their attention, and potentially it's the street. As well. There's a great pull there. But Dr. Stewart, we really do need to spend a lot more time talking with our children. Do you agree?
I can't tell you how many times a parent or a guardian or a grandparent has said to me, something is wrong. I don't know what it is, but something is wrong. Folks know their children. And when you know that something is wrong in your gut, you cannot accept I'm okay, or it's just a phase, or even talk yourself into believing it's just a phase they're going through and they'll grow out of it. When you have those feelings, listen to them. When the hair on the back of your neck stands up and says, no, this is different. This is something else. Right. They're not sleeping. They're running with a different crowd. They're behaving differently. A child who was always respectful and polite suddenly becomes, flying off the handle all the time, cursing and telling you to leave them alone.
Sure.
Those are the signs that we cannot ignore. The other caution I would offer for anybody who has responsibility for a child today is, as you go through these back and forths with them, look for signs that this is really different and I need to pay attention, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be afraid. Don't be put off because Black folks don't need mental health services. Right. Don't allow those myths to take over and let you lose that child.
Well, Dr. Stewart, I could spend an hour talking to you about this, and I'm going to have you back on the show to delve deeper into this topic and discussion. But I got to move on now. But thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Let me just give one number for anybody listening who needs some help. Absolutely. 901-448-4200. Call that number. It's our program at the University of Tennessee. We have specialists who will come to you if need be to evaluate your child and make a recommendation for how you can get some help.
Dr. Stewart, thank you so much for the work that you do on a daily basis. I will have you back on this show if you are willing to come on, because this is the conversation that needs to be continued. But thank you so much for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you so much. Well, there's a lot to think about, and there's always things that we can do to help our young people because, as she said, and as Colonel Beasley said earlier, we don't know what they're going through. You never know what somebody's going through on the outside, because what you see on the outside may be a whole lot different on the inside. I'm going to take a quick break. And when I come back, I'm going to talk to two gentlemen who are launching a podcast that men need to pay attention to. We're going to talk about the Total Man podcast with a couple of folks that I know very well. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Quick break, right back.
Discover your next favorite artist at the Memphis Songwriter Series at the Halloran Center, hosted by Memphis Songwriter Mark.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Renowned dance artist Lil Buck stars in Memphis Jukin', the show, an ode to his hometown in Memphis, Tennessee, and the street dance culture of the Bluff City, which has drawn intrigue and emulation throughout the world of music, film, and stage performance. Memphis Jukin', the show will premiere at the Orpheum Theater in Memphis on February 11th and 12th of 2022. Tickets and more info are available at orpheum-memphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday, an information-filled Monday to be sure. Now, my next guests are two fellas that I know pretty well. We are all members of the same church, Full View Baptist Church in Bartlett, Tennessee. They are both men of God. I can tell you that because I know it firsthand. And fine men, period. Now, for whatever particular reason, they decided that they wanted to launch a podcast, and it is called the Total Man Podcast. And because I guess they feel like, you know, for us men, there's a greater responsibility, but I'm not going to put words in their mouth. I'm going to let them talk after I introduce them. Very happy to have on board Reverend Rodney Kirkwood Sr. and Mandrill McLaughlin Jr. They are the host of the all-new and upcoming podcast called Total Man. And gentlemen, thank you for being here with me tonight on Real Talk.
What's up, Chip?
How y'all doing?
Good to be here.
So listen, guys, and thank you both for being here. And I'm going to jump right into this. You know, we talked a little bit offline about this. You decided, because you guys talk on a daily basis about a lot of things, to kick off a brand new podcast called the Total Man Podcast. So I'm going to be quiet and let one or both of you tell our listeners exactly what it's all about and why you decided to launch it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, well, you know, first of all, Chip, it's good to be on here tonight, man. Just to talk about the Total Man Podcast that will be launching the second week of February.
Okay.
That's our first episode in the second week of February. I believe it's February 7th, one of the two.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll get the correct date. But we started the podcast, man, because me and Drill, of course, we back in 2013, in 2014, Drill and I were a group with 10 other men, and we started a book, or we wrote a book called 12 Kings and Their Treasure. Mm-hmm. And we developed a lot of good conversations about things that men go through. The book really consists of 12 men giving their greatest testimonies at that time of God's delivering hand, the way God kept us, the way God shielded us from different things for us to get to the point where we are right now.
Right.
And one of the things we recognize as men is, our pride, our stubbornness, our unwillingness to communicate, talk, showing areas of vulnerability and transparency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in those areas, man, Chip, that's where we fail in society. That's where we fail in society. And the base scripture that really told a man to centered around is when Jesus said in John 10:10, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that you may have life and have that life more abundantly.
Right.
And the abundant life has to do a lot with wholeness, holistically, not just spiritual wholeness, but also mental wholeness, emotional wholeness, physical wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part of what we're talking about, total man, being holistic. Total man is not a man that's perfected. Total man is a man who is operating in a healthy state. All right. Because even in the healthiest state, we're not 100%, right? However, we can walk in a level of healthiness mentally and emotionally. And when we do that, I believe as men, we can start the repair of things that have been broken in society, starting with our young men that we're talking about, the youth. But I believe it starts with the man who is whole, who is complete, not perfect, but whole and complete, to where he's operational and being instrumental in helping others, right? Starting with himself and then being able to be used by God in the way that God wants to use him to reach out to others. That's what we're talking about in the total man. So in the total man, we're going to deal with different subjects, topics that is geared toward men, but the principles can be applied with women and youth as well.
We're speaking with Rodney Kirkwood Sr. and Mandrill McLaughlin Jr. They are the host of the new podcast, which will be launched in February, called Total Man. Now, Drill, I know, you're a young man with a young family. You have two sons who are just absolutely adorable. And so piggybacking on what Rodney said, really about the responsibilities that go along with this. From the man perspective, we're not perfect, but we do have a responsibility in many ways. And sort of piggyback off of that, and I know that's very important to you, particularly as a father to two young boys.
Yeah, and early, I check into the show, and I was watching Colonel Beasley. I was listening to the conversation, and it was pertinent, because of what he was talking about, especially with young children who are experiencing things conducive to gun violence, and Dr. Stewart and her input. What you've done tonight is so wonderful because it acts as a blockchain, and we are a part of the solution. TMP is a part of that solution, because if we can invest in them when they're young, we can invest in their lives and invest in their growth and invest in their spiritual building, then we won't be investing in their incarceration.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at it, it's $50,000 per person per unit in a 7x7. I'd rather invest in my two sons now in the training up, and TMP is going to do a lot of that. See, when we wrote the book, it was a lot of things that was cracked, that the Lord cracked into, we got a chance to crack into with our call names. I'm the shark and he's the living sword. So there's a lot of things that we get into. It's a lot of deep waters we're going to swim into, and it's a lot of things that the sword is going to cut into. And dealing with that with our sons, teaching them. A lot of it is hands-on. A lot of it is practical application.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is just having the conversation.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. I'm really here to call out the big gorilla in the room. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because if we don't talk about it, then it'll keep on whooping you. And, and who wants to be 60 with a black and blue eye and or you can be rich, but you can be so unsuccessful as far as your children being viable citizens and good Christian men, in my family.
So would you both say that one of the basic levels of the Total Man podcast is accountability? Holding us to accountability?
Yeah. Accountability is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's what we're here to do. We want to have the conversation, because obviously it's a lot of youngsters that are not having that conversation. I mean, and they might not even have, you know, we're already surrogates to a certain extent. It's a lot of young brothers and young sisters that do look for conversation. We're doing a short podcast. We did something with Shelby County and Chief Pope out at West Memphis. They came and we did something called Shop Talk out at Royal Country Club, Salon for Men. Shout out to Reggie and Mimi out in Cordova there. And that was a big part of it. It's really sharing, having the conversation, but also having it from not just a carnal sense, but from a spiritual context. Because all of this stuff, people think that the spiritual doesn't affect you. Man, we living in it.
Yeah.
And if you don't talk about it and open them up to it, because they get enough of it on the TV and every other, you know, outlet.
Yeah.
We have to be in the conversation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rodney, you
fully agree, man.
Yeah.
It just starts with accountability. You have to be accountable for where you are, right? You got to call out mistakes that you made, mistakes that you may be making now, in order to, to be effective in helping not only men, but also the youth, man, who is our next generation, man. You know, it's all about preserving them and yet equipping them for the future, man. But it starts with accountability, for real.
Well, listen, I am very, very excited for you both. I know you both, you know, as ministers and men of the church. I know your heart, and I know your sincerity, both of you. I'm very proud of both of you. And as this effort gets underway sometime in February, give me when you get all this, you know, the particulars and everything really firm down, laid out. Send me that information so I can make sure I pass it on to our audience. And I'm just going to say before you guys go, we need to support programs like this. We need to support efforts like this. These two are saying, look, you know what? We're not going to stand by the sidelines and watch. We're going to get in the game and try to see if we can't do something about it and maybe influence some folks. That's what we need. But what we need more so than that is you, radio listening audience, podcasters, whoever it is out there. If you listen to podcasts, if you listen to radio, whatever it is, support efforts like this, okay? Because this is what we need in this world, and this is important. And Rodney and Drill, I am so, like I said before, very proud of you guys, and I am going to be your number one fan on your podcast. But I want to thank you both for coming on the show tonight and breaking it down in the simplest, most common denominator type terms. And I look forward to your show. And again, thank you all for coming on.
Man, we thank you, bro.
And Chip,
yes, sir.
Listen, man. God bless you, dude. Okay. We're grateful for your continued recovery.
Yeah, buddy.
With you and Wanda, man, it's just still a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Just to even be part of the family of people that pray for you and you and Wanda, that this thing will work out, and look at you now. You know, look at what God is doing, man. So the fact that God brought you through and brought you and Wanda through, man, is the reason why we're even still here doing what we're doing. So even to be on the show tonight. So bless you, man. And our prayers are continually with you and Miss Wanda.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You guys take care of yourselves, and we'll be talking soon, okay?
Yes,
all right.
All right, thank you. That's a great way to end the show. And as Lola plays us out, glad to have you. This was a powerful, powerful hour. And if you didn't hear it right now tonight, we're going to be posting on YouTube. Of course, this is Facebook Live, so you can see it anytime you want to. It's a podcast, so it'll be posted tomorrow afternoon. So please check it out. And I'm just so fortunate to be able to be here to provide programs like this. So for Lola, for Jack, and for Nicole, for all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, thank you for being with us. Hopefully we'll see you again next week. Between now and then, I'm Chip, and I'm out.